The previous 5 episodes were fantastic and held us captivated, yet something was lacking. This week amplifies everything and ultimately explores the story from every angle, character, and storyline, bringing us a rich and tempting installment with recurring characters, stunning reveals, and possibly the most shocking twist. Episode 6 opens up immediately with Shauna leaving the place after Episode 5, with Jeff waiting for Shauna, Melanie Lynskey, to come home after a hard day as a citizen detective with Walter. Shauna must tell Jeff about LT's death, including her suspicions that she was murdered because disgraced cult members don't just fall down the stairs and die. C overhears them and is visibly shaken by LS' death, unbeknownst to her and Jeff. C found the cassette handed to Shauna in the season opener. She gives it to her parents and says she hasn't listened to it but thinks it's about LS' death after her van breaks the freezer event, and now the cassette. Shauna knows someone is attempting to murder her. The Setties pack up and move to the Jolly Hitcher motel to avoid danger. After settling in, Jeff asks Shauna how horrible this is and whether it's like her journals, but she hasn't listened to the cassette yet. Jeff believes it must be bad and that someone knows where she lives, so they have it out for her. Shauna tells Jeff she won't let anyone damage him or see, then fakes hunger and feigned dizziness to get him out of the room so she can call Van, who's getting a massage at a different hotel with Tyler. Naturally, Van can play the DAT cassette. Van claims she has a DAT player and can bring it over later in the week, but Shauna emphasizes the necessity and asks her to find it sooner. After Van listens to the tape, she finds the DAT player. She and Tyler meet Shauna at the Jolly Hitcher and immediately listen in the car. We hear a brief clip of the females screaming ferociously, as they had done many times, usually when hunting for a wilderness sacrifice. The tape's origin is unknown, but Van says only they, all the dead, know about it, and they've already ruled out Misty. They have little time to wonder when Shauna finds Callie's phone in her purse and realizes that she has set it to record their entire chat. She deletes the recording and returns inside, leaving Ty and Van confused. C argues she has a right to know what's coming for them, but Shauna chastises her for recording. C counters that Shauna is simply a child by saying she's the same age as Shauna was in the wilderness. Shauna puts C out of the room because this is too personal. Shauna doesn't realize that C recovers the voice memo from her phone's recently erased folder, so she can hear everything. As a peace gift, Walter and Misty find Lottie's trash. Apologizing to Misty, she gives her LS trash after the episode 5 competition between Walter, Shauna, and Misty to investigate her death. He couldn't understand it, but she may. Misty finds takeout containers from Bamboo Cafe, the most un-Lottie restaurant ever, with a 2.5 rating, an AC from the health department, and no vegetarian options. Therefore, Lottie must have gone there for another purpose. Misty investigates and finds Lisa, a former Lottie cult member, delivering restaurant takeout. Misty follows Lisa and tries to talk to her, but Lisa is afraid of her because the needle that murdered Natalie was meant for her. Misty accuses Lisa of murdering Lottie, but Lisa says not everyone murders after trauma. She tells Misty everything she knows, including that the last time she saw Lottie, she bought a lot of food and left Lisa a $50,000 tip in an envelope that stated, "I'm sorry." Misty thinks a hefty tip is odd, but Lisa says she's learned to accept good things after all her misfortunes. Lisa also tells Misty to check with her friends, especially Tyler, who met Lottie the day she died, if she still doesn't believe she fell down the stairs. Lisa claims she spotted them outside the restaurant, but Misty doesn't believe her. Coach Ben's death. Coach Scott is struggling after having his Achilles tendon severed in the last episode. His life was saved, but at what cost? He's being kept alive in a corral with animals since Ayla saw him as their bridge home. Otherwise, he'd die. When Natalie gives him breakfast, he says that's no life. He also asks her to kill him or provide him with a weapon. He even attempts to get her to kill him by stating he set the cabin on fire, but she doesn't believe him. He begs for death every time she brings him food, but she stops because she can't bear it. Murray brings Coach's meals, but finds insects and a bad smell. He appears sickly and has a sunken face. She finds a week's worth of decaying food next to him since he's been storing his food. He wants to die, so he's fasting. Lottie strongly opposes it since they're sticking to Ayla's vision. Later that day, Misty and other team members arrive with face coverings and hold Coach down, forcing him to swallow a tube with food. The scene is terrible, and Natalie finds him coughing up blood when she checks on him. Natalie is shown crying in her heart. Later that night, clearly remembering this scene after picking up a knife, she goes to where they're keeping Coach Scott. Natalie says she has to do this when Travis intercepts her. Travis sympathizes, telling her he'll keep watch, but to be quick because the sun is rising. Coach recognizes Natalie's plan when he sees the knife and says, "Please." She strains to continue, but Coach moves closer and compliments her before she cuts his chest. He breathes out one last gasp and dies calmly, releasing all his misery. Natalie staggers out of Coach's enclosure with bloody hands. In the morning, Misty is distraught, calling Nat a murderer and rushing to Coach's side to properly bury him. The squad screams at Natalie for mercy killing him. She insists it was right because he was suffering. Melissa tells her to stop. Jen shoves her, and Van exclaims that it wasn't her decision. Ty suggests another trial, but Shauna claims Nat confessed, so there's no need. They only need to determine what to do with her. Lottie proposes Shauna lead them onward. After a moment, Shauna makes her first ruling effortlessly and without being cruel. She adds they always commemorate the dead, so tonight they will honor Coach Scott and give the wilderness what it needs. What new strangers know about Natalie's punishment? As Shauna prepares Coach's body, she is harsh like this season, but she softens as she covers his face with a rag so Nat doesn't have to look at him. Lottie complains that the teens' coach honoring feast is improper. She had prayed beneath the trees earlier in the episode, requesting the wilderness to communicate to her and listen. She heard talking and laughing, but no one was doing either. Lottie screams, and the woods join in with the same taunting screeches we've heard all season. She invites others to join her, making the wilderness noisier and more chaotic. Lottie spots a stranger on the camp's edge, then briefly considers Coach, but it's impossible. She and everyone else freeze when they see strangers. Civilization is escape, hope. The man in front of them sees Coach Scott's head on the table and screams, and the credits roll. Is this their salvation? Was killing Coach Scott their way home? Or will the Yellow Jackets kill again to keep their secret?